Hello fellow knobheads and beat people, I'm George, the Gentleman Rocker, and this is the JackOff. Let's talk about the DrumBrute. As I said in my The Kick video, I don't really need analog drum sounds, but Bo from Bo Beats did a video about equipment and how he chooses it, and he said one thing that really made me rethink. Don't get the equipment that you need right now, but the equipment that you could need later on or that you would like to expand to. And I really dig the sound of analog drum machines. So as I saw the Arturia DrumBrute, I realized that after switching from the iPad to the circuit, my drums really started to get more minimalistic. Of course, you only have 4 drum voices, and it made me rethink and re-listen to my old stuff, and I really like to use drum machines. It's very noisy here. So I really liked to use drum machines and have the drum machine be kind of a little bit the star of the song, as you can do a lot, change it up with 17 drum sounds that are fully analog. It made me realize that maybe samples, even if you have 4 loops or sequences that can play 1 sample per step, change it up every step, it's not the same. And on this weekend I was on a short vacation with my family, so I took all my old stuff with me and my newer stuff, and I really recognized a change in how I work with drums, and I didn't really like it. Of course, I see the circuit as a kind of groove box that you use when you play to make kind of, if you would be a rock band, this would be the acoustic set. Maybe you just have a cajon to play the drums or a really small drum set. You can play your songs, but it will not be the same as a real thing playing stuff. So I'm really thinking if the DrumBrute would be good for me. I really like the sound. It's not too much in your face, so you have good bass to work with effects, and it's set up to be used like this. So you have the separate outs for the drums, so you can, for instance, send your tom through a synth effect or your hi-hats through a delay. So it's really something that you can work with, and as every sound is analog and you can change it up, it's something to explore new sounds and have fun with, which seems to be no problem for me. I like fun, so maybe it's a good way to go. As I said, the sound is not that in your face and that wow, you're flushed away with sound, but maybe that's good. I mean, you can have a normal beat running, you can crank it up, send it through effects and make it very special. You can sculpt your sound like you want, and 450 euros, that's not much per voice. So let me see, 17 voices should be little bit 25, yeah, works, 25 to 28 euros per voice, which is a very good price for an analog voice. It also made me rethink getting the kick, and I asked myself, do I need the kick? But then again, it's so much more sound-wise. You can do so much more with the kick than you can do with the kick drum on the DrumBrute, which is on this display shown here. That's why I'm pointing this way. And it's 160 euros or 170, which is a good price for this effect. And I really like the idea of having a tunable sub bass. It's really playable. And as I had a cool small job that gave me a little bit of money to spend for equipment, I really think it could go in this direction. I wanted to get the Roland MX1, the IRA mixer with the step effects and stuff, but I guess this is something I'll have on top of my equipment, just to have another layer of effects and a mixer with more voices. And it will really work with the TB03. But I guess I will go DrumBrute first and then look for the MX1, so that my sound generating stuff gets complete or more complete. And I want to get it as soon as possible, as I want to start working with all the instruments that I want to have in my setup. As I said in one of my slabs, I want to have a setup that has everything that I need to making my stuff, not more. So I will have a synthesizer for analog pads and bass lines, one for string sounds, evolving string sounds, kick, snare, drums, the TB03 as another bass line. And I want this setup I want to get used to it, as I'm working on a new album. I have some of my older stuff that I'm mastering right now, and yeah, I will put out 2 of my older albums on iTunes and stuff via Bandcamp, and then I want to start I want to start working on new stuff, and I want to start collecting ideas. I don't really know which direction it will go. Probably very acid techno style with a little bit of dubstep dropped into it, just for breaks and stuff. Yeah, and this way I want to have a setup that I know. Like when you're a band, you don't look for which sound you could use or which guitar you could use and run to the store or something like that. You have an idea, I want it to sound like this, and you know how to get it. And that's how used I want to get to my equipment. And having the possibility to do some really cool drum stuff would work with this techno. The drum beat is the center of the song kind of music. So I'm really liking the idea, and it's a good price. You can get other drum machines, of course, which are more expensive, can do a lot more, would have lesser voices and stuff like that, like for instance the analog rhythm from Electron. But first of all, I don't get the Electron kind of sequencing way. It's not for me. You have to go too deep into the machine for my liking, and it's too powerful. It can do too much. I really like that you can choose a sound and you know what it will do. If I get the DrumBrute for my drum sounds, I will free up the sample memory from the circuit, which brings me to another thing. I started using a lot of sound effects, starting with working on the iPad, that are one-hit sound effect samples like whooshes and stuff like that, explosions, bleeping noises, and I don't really have that in my setup. But I could, of course, throw 64 small samples with noises and bleeps and blobs and stuff like that into the circuit and use that to have some sound effects that make sequences pop a little bit more. So that's what I'm thinking about doing, and I really like the idea. Yeah, analog drum machine. Of course, you can get, if you're really working on sculpting sounds and want to use samples and stuff like that, there are better options, but it's too far away. I need a drum player first that you can tune and change a little bit to your liking. I don't need to sculpt my drum sounds. As far as I know, I really like standard analog drums. I really like the analog sound with a little twist, with the separate outs if you want a special effect, or changing the tune and stuff like that on the fly, of course. So it's not recordable, which is good, as it makes you play the music more. And this is my jam setup, not my I press play and it works for me setup. First I was thinking it sounds a little bit too less, but after listening to the samples and to my music, my older stuff, I most of the time don't have this in-your-face drum sounds that I used to do with the circuit. Most of the time it's a drum beat running in the background, which is changing a lot, and it's doable, and you have this random function. Cool stuff. I really hope it works. And as I used the Beatstep Pro's drum sequencer and had some things that really bothered me, they are all changed in this one. And I'm really thinking about waiting to sell the Beatstep Pro now, because if they implement the changes they made to the DrumBrute sequencer into the Beatstep Pro, it really makes it revitalize the stuff. So really cool stuff. I like it. So if you like this video, click the subscribe button, drop some likes, and check in next time. I'm George, the Gentleman Rocker. See you later.